to order, I guess.
Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Great. All right. Sorry. I've had so many different times where my mic doesn't work and so much fun. So,
Okay. So I can do a roll call. Okay. Ralph Branson,
Yeah.
Scott Crosby,
here.
Karen Hovda,
Here.
Gary Mingus. Here, I see him. Gary Workington, I do not see. Okay, and Jeff Cole.
Here.
All right, great.
Do you have the agenda, Scott?
I do.
Okay.
I do. So I don't, did you guys just do the, I mean, I'm fine with being the chair if that works for everyone else. So.
Does anybody else want to arm wrestle him for it? Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
looks like you're it.
All right,
Perfect.
Scott's the chair.
Okay. Well, I don't think we have anyone from the citizens, right? So we don't need to ask for public
Correct.
comment.
Correct. There's no attendees right now.
Sounds great. So did everyone have a chance to review the minutes of last meeting's February 17th meeting? And it looks like everyone kind of shook their head yes. So I think I'll need to get a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I shall move.
Yeah, I second.
And can I get a second?
I second.
Perfect. All
I
right.
just got a speaker.
Hear you, Karen.
And then I guess can we get an update from Plant Operations Manager Chris Lewis?
Should we vote on the minutes first?
Oh shoot, sorry.
And maybe they can just raise their hand instead of saying aye. That way we can see. That'd be good.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Or raise your hand.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Sorry. All in favor, all in disagreement? All right. Good to go.
Okay. Great, thank you.
And then I guess we'll move on to Chris Lewis for water treatment and distribution projects.
I can talk a little bit about the water treatment with Donald do distribution. Well, hello, my name is Chris Lewis. I'm the new lead plant operator. I took over this role in November. I've been working here for the city since 2001. So I've been around, born and raised in Estacada. I love this community. So as you all know, our town is growing and we need to keep up with our critical infrastructure like water treatment plants and how we convey drinking water throughout the town and our wastewater treatment facilities. So this upcoming budget year, we have a few large projects that need to happen to keep up with growth. One project is updating our water disinfection process at the drinking water plant by adding a UV disinfection system. Right now, we have 2 tanks outside the plant that are used for water disinfection. To achieve the current disinfection requirements, water must be held in those tanks for a period of time before it can be sent out into the system. With the demand increasing, our clear well tank volume is barely able to provide the required retention time. We currently can and do meet the disinfection requirements, but we can only produce about 1.6 million gallons per day as we stand right now. So with the addition of this unit, we'll be able to produce the plant's design at 2 million gallons per day while easily meeting OHA's disinfection requirements. We'll use less chlorine and only have to maintain a trace amount in the distribution system, which will be more desirable for our customers. The UV system will consist of 2.6 million gallon per day units to meet future expansion of the plant and match our 2.6 million gallons per day water rights from the Clackamas River. Right now, our water demand is roughly about 500,000 gallons per day in the winter and 0.8 to 1.2 million gallons per day in the peak of the summer. Another project we have is by adding a new water pump station to fill the upper level reservoirs. We have a 500,000 gallon reservoir up off the Moss Hill Road, and we're currently talking about adding a new reservoir somewhere above Cascadia Ridge, Deuce Road area, somewhere over there at the same elevation as the Moss Hill Reservoir. We currently have a pump station to keep that reservoir full, but as we experienced during the fire this last year, we're unable to supply water to that reservoir under certain conditions. So like reservoir 1 is depleted by 2/3 or more, then you cannot pump. You can't suck out of that tank to fill the upper level because of suction pressure problems. So we want to move this new, not move this new, we want to add another pump station at the end of, what is that, Espinosa? Because we currently have a low pressure line and a high pressure line right there that we can tie into. And it'll be much easier, and we'll always maintain a high suction pressure to be able to fill that upper level reservoir. And just by adding that, we'll always be able to keep it full with the water plant running. So that's what I have for those big projects.
Well, first, I want to say congratulations on the promotion to the plant manager, by the way. That's fantastic. I got a question on the Espinosa. So are you guys going to be having to dig on Reagan Hill again for that?
At the end of Espinosa is kind of like a hammerhead turnaround type of thing, and I think they're going to put it somewhere right in the hillside.
Yeah.
They're going to have to excavate some dirt out of there. Sure.
And I think there's access to that also from the subdivision that went in further up, Darrow also. So I don't think there'll be any work being done on the 4th Street Hill or on 4th Street.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like there was quite a bit of work done there, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. I thought that there's some pretty
Yeah, I think we did right there where ginseng comes in. Chris, didn't we do some kind of or Dawn? We connected the pipe right there to the high level, something to do with, we connected the pipe there from somewhere.
Yeah, they connected the upper level to the lower level with the pressure reducing valve.
Yeah.
To give the houses up on top of the hill there more pressure from the upper level system.
Yeah.
Didn't have anything to do with the pump station.
Got a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Back whenever, obviously Reagan Hill, a lot of houses up there. Back when 4th Street was developed, why didn't we, whatever the term is, right there by Ginseng coming down the hill, didn't we take over that land? There's a term for it. Do we know that term? Take over somebody's
what land are you talking about?
Well, when you come down the hill, it narrows down to a throat. And why didn't we make that, since that's a major road up to the top of the hill and the houses, why didn't we make that all the way down the same width rather than doing that bottleneck, which looks like, I drive it every day, it looks like that part of the land could have been taken away from that property owner and made the street the same width all the way down. Was there a reason we didn't do that when it was 4th Street was originally developed?
Yeah, so the developer only had to do the part to the end of his property, which he did. Okay. And so at the time, and even now, the city, the city does own right of way there. So it's not, we do own the land, but as you can tell, that last house, the driveway, there's going to be a lot of engineering needed there to fix that side of the road. And it just hasn't been on the top of the list for the council to
Okay.
pursue. We do own the property. Someday it could happen.
Uh,
And then
okay.
also we have someone that bought the property on the other side of the road, the old Iris Bird property. I don't know if everyone's familiar with that
That
yet.
4 acres?
4 or 5 acres, and someone just purchased that and they're going to be cleaning it up. I don't know what their plans are, but when they develop, there might be an opportunity to get a little bit of the road there to kind of curve the road that way maybe, so there won't be as much of an issue on the other side.
Great. Yeah, the north side of that abuts my property. So I was wondering when, is it, Taylor, is that something that'll come up before the planning board in the future?
If they apply for anything,
Okay.
Uh,
Well, I know
we
when
don't
I
know if
bought
they
my
intend-
property, it was already scheduled for houses all the way down the hill to 4th Street.
yeah, years and years ago, they did have an approved subdivision, but that's long gone. Subdivisions have 2 years to plat and then it's no longer. So anything that happens there would have to go through the whole new process again.
Great.
And I don't know if the new owner is looking at doing that or just cleaning it up and putting a house back or what, but at least they're going to be cleaning that lot up.
Great. Thanks, Denise.
Yeah.
This is the one at, is it like 585
Yes.
something?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it got, I've gotten a lot of questions about that, and it sounds like it got marketed as having an existing or valid subdivision approval.
Yeah.
And then got sold under that marketing, so.
It's platted out that way. I know when I bought my property, it was platted out. My property was supposed to be 7 homes. First Street was supposed to come to the middle of my property, then
Right.
south. And
Right.
the whole thing was supposed to be homes. So
Yeah, your property was the connecting road where first that goes into your property would connect to this property. So,
right.
so they would have to come back in for a whole new plan if they want to do that.
Okay, no, thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Chris?
Well, and Chris, everything was an echo in the past up until now. Chris, you deal with water?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we just approved that $500,000 water tank up on the hill last year or year before maybe. So are what we looking at is another one of those over on Espinoza?
No, we're
Just
looking
a
at
pump.
a pump station there. The reservoir we put in a couple of years ago was at the lower level that supplies water to all downtown and the school area and the new Campanella subdivision.
Okay,
What we're
so,
talking about is the upper level reservoirs, like Cascadia Ridge, all that stuff out on Deuce and all that stuff. So we need to build a reservoir higher in elevation to supply those subdivisions.
Well, maybe
Okay.
I'll give my report now since it's on the high level reservoir instead of wait until the end since we're talking water. And so the high level reservoir, we're looking at someplace up on Deuce, up past the airport. And it would be the same level as our one on Moss Hill Road. And then it would allow us for a tie-in and a loop for those high level reservoirs. Because at this time, right now, if something were to happen, that's a long line that comes from the Moss Hill Reservoir to feed to the areas that it serves, which is Cascadia Ridge. If something were to happen to that, there's 500 homes that would be, hurting because that if something happened to that line. And this new reservoir will loop in. And so if one line goes bad, they'll have the other reservoir. And there are some areas that cannot be serviced with our low level reservoirs. So this high level reservoir will provide service to them. So Gary, yes, we did build a new low-level reservoir last year and we got a loan, but we paid off that loan. We had SDCs to pay it off. So that's all paid off and done. And so now we have the 3 low-level reservoirs and we're hoping to have then the 2 high-level. Right now we just have the 1. And that job, it is in our budget for next year that was just approved last night at the budget meeting. And that is, let's see here. a $2.4 million project. We are getting some funding from the American Rescue Plan that where the city is going to be given. I'm saying it given. We didn't ask for it. $768,000 from that plan. Half of it this year and half of it next. So the half that we get in this coming year, we're going to spend to help out on that 2.4 million. And then the rest we have available in our water SDC. So we won't be taking out a loan for that reservoir. We'll be able to build it with the funds that we have. And then, and we plan on doing that, like I said, in the next budget year. So between July and June of 21-22. And we just have to work with a property owner up there for the property. Then that line will come down and tie into the other line somewhere there along Lawrence Road is where they'll tie in together.
Right. I've been on the planning board for 4 years now, and I don't know of a time that we have not approved a request for, what was it, Taylor, 125 sites?
Yeah.
And one of the big things is we really don't know. I think the questions were, where do we sit as far as, utilities?
Yeah.
Do we know how many homes we have right now? I think Taylor said that we use three persons per home as an equation.
Do you mean how many have been approved or how many are
How
potential?
many homes do we have right now?
That have been built, like currently
No,
in the city?
just I see the sign says 4,000. I guess my end result for this question is with water, how many questions that we have, how many homes using that 3 person per home calculation can we have before there's something needs to happen?
So water is sitting pretty good, as Chris said in his report. On the winter months, we're at, can you say the thing again, Chris?
Yeah, 500,000 gallons per day.
500,000. And in the summer, we're at 1.2 million. And our water rights is 2.6. And our plant can do, well, that's why we're upgrading to the UV.
We'll be able to do 2 million gallons per day after the
Yeah.
UV.
So we're sitting pretty good with water. It's just,
That's a peak day. That's not every day.
yeah, that's a peak day. Absolutely. And then, but our storage is what we're addressing, because you do need more storage as that. So the plant doesn't have to work as hard. The more storage you have, the more you can put in there so the plant doesn't have to work quite as hard a day.
Right. So after reading that report, so we're good to go for water and sewer for between 5,700 and 10,000. Is that correct?
I don't know those numbers, but I could get that for you guys.
Okay, because that,
I do have those numbers for the sewer. I think you guys got that. I think you got in your packet the thing from Kurt, our engineer, that showed a chart that showed the sewer capacities and where we think if we go with, what was it, 20 or 25 houses a day, what it would be, or 25 houses a month. I'm sorry, not a day. I have talked to a couple developers, and I do think that things are going to slow for a while just because of the prices of lumber. I have talked to the developer at Campanella, and I know they're slowing theirs just because it's making the price of the houses go up so much that they really are being cautious at putting these up to try to sell them. So I think until that, gets resolved, I think that it will slow. That doesn't mean people aren't going to still want to get their subdivision approved so they're ready when things happen. So our sewer plant, we put that memo in for everyone to see on the sewer issue. It is something that's going to need to be addressed. And we plan on addressing that within the facility plan that needs to be done is is done on Kurt's desk as a draft for us, for staff to look at for the next week. And that probably will come out. And, you know, we're figuring we're probably going to need about $18 million for a new sewer plant and the pump stations associated with that plant. The council has a long, they need to evaluate where they want to place the plant. There's been a lot of talk about going out to the industrial park. That brings its own unique issues with it, that to get the pipe out to the county or out to the river, you have to deal with the county, who doesn't like sewer stuff, you know, going through. And so there are problems with that. Of course, you're going to have neighbors, even though it is an industrial park and a place where it's certainly an outright use, you're going to have neighbors that don't want it there. And so there's going to be a lot of options to look at. One of the options, I think, is putting it, because you can't really put it in the same, there's not room to put it in the same place that our current plant is, because that plant has to remain running while we're building the other plant. So one option might be to put it where the shop is, and then you can use the pipe that's there already, and you can build a nice, it's going to be a completely different system. It's not going to have the smells as much, and you can make it a nice looking place. There's a lot of, I went to McMinimum's in Kalama last weekend, and right by McMinimum's, and there is the Kalama wastewater treatment plant. And, you know, they have a nice brick looking fence around it. It looks really nice. You wouldn't even know it was there except for the sign. So one of the options is there. It would make it so we wouldn't have to do the pipe. We already have piping there. We could extend, Chris was saying, we could extend that piping more towards the middle of the river, which would make our requirements, make it better on reaching requirement limits. So there's a lot of things the council has to look at. But Kurt's report shows within 5 years, we really need to have it up and going, because if growth continues like it's going, that's when we're going to hit the 100% capacity. DEQ requires you to start doing what we've already done when you hit 85%. And for us, that's not going to be for 2 more years. So we're ahead of the game right now. And the council's been really proactive about that. And I think that things are going to happen quickly now that we have this plan done, and we'll get our sewer up to speed as far as growth.
Excellent. I know on our end, what was it, a couple months ago, Taylor, that we approved 161 acres to be changed from farmland. So
Yes.
And that's with us, it's continuing, just approving and approving. So could we have a finite number of homes that we could go off of? Okay, we're good to go, and say we have 5,000 homes now, and we will be in a hurt once we get to 8,000. Is there a way we can get some kind of finite number like that?
Yeah, it is kind of a guess, but yeah, I think we can get you guys something for that, for Planning Commission. Yeah, as going forward. And one thing we want to do is also have Kurt there at Planning Commission and Council now that things are getting, you know, more closely, because he can answer so many questions that staff really
That'd be great. I know we had a representative from the school board, and it was a little ambiguous on, she kept talking about bringing mobile homes or mobile buildings in, but never really got a finite number of, okay, if we have 1,000 more homes or 3,000 more homes, then we're going to have to bring that in. So for us to kind of make, you know, viable decisions, it'd be nice to have some kind of numbers.
And we'll get you a letter from the school district. They are really for all growth, because they feel like that gives them a better shot to get their measures passed. They are going to have to build a new school. Mm-hmm. And they haven't decided if it's a high school, a middle school, a grade school, but they're going to need to build a new school, and they need to get a bond measure passed, and that's what they're working on now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what she mentioned.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. And one other thing about the sewer, we also have about $475,000 budgeted in the budget. Oh, I think Don's gonna talk about this. I'll let him do it instead of me.
One
Yeah.
last quick question. Do you have, is it narrowed down? One of our applicants, I think in our last meeting, was kind of thinking that the most obvious place to put the sewer plant was on his property. I don't remember his name, Taylor.
Bill Highlands.
That's out in the industrial park area. And
Right.
like I said, there's a lot of issues around that would have to be resolved, but it is something we're gonna look at.
So do we have a time frame in the next 3 years? We're going to decide where to build that?
Oh, I'd say in the next year, we're gonna decide where to build it.
Right on.
Yep.
Thank you.
Gary, it looks like on the reports that we got from Kurt, it said on there about 7,500 people, not homes, but people, was when we'd get that capacity on our sewer.
And how many homes do we have now?
Are you talking about people or homes? You're saying?
No homes,
I don't know, but this is.
apples to apples.
We'll get you
Saying
guys that
people.
information.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Mhm.
Denise, how is Faraday Hills water supplied right now? Or Chris?
They're on the low level reservoir, right, Chris?
I don't know what Faraday Hills is.
It's
Did-
that Deuce Road, the
Yeah.
Deuce
Oh,
Road.
that's upper. I think that's upper.
Oh, it is upper, okay.
And how do you guys tie that in? On Kern Creek or something, or?
It came down Cemetery Road. They punched all the way up to the top, and then they bored down underneath and got to the backside.
That's right. I remember that, the bore. That's, okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember how you guys tied it in. I knew it was, yeah, sounds good. Okay, does anyone else have any questions for Denise or Chris, or? If not, then we'll go to Don on his Mill Property Sewer Line project.
Hi, I'm Donald DeRoja. I'm the Public Works Director. I took over for Tom in October. So we're trying to replace all the sewer line in the mill property. It's approximately 2,450 feet of pipe. It's 10 and 12-inch pipe. It's old concrete leaky pipe. It's got a lot of I&I. We're trying to solve the I&I problems. We're going to be replacing all the manholes, the piping. Right now, all the manholes have seepage coming in, or I&I. And so some of them don't even have covers on them. There's steel plates. So that's the main gist of it. And we're trying to relocate it to where, as the mill, if it ever does develop, it'll develop around the pipe instead of having to relocate the pipe further in the future. So it's just a lot of really old, bad pipe that needs to be replaced, and it'll help with the loads going into the wastewater plant in the wintertime. We kind of looked at it where we kind of went to every manhole, checked to see how much inflow is coming in. And we checked the flow in the pipe during the summer compared to the winter. And you go from having a quarter full pipe to almost a full pipe come wintertime of just inflow. And that's from seepage, rainwater, everything like that. So that is basically the gist of that project. They're not going to be doing pipe bursting. It's cost effective to just dig it up and replace it that way. So other than that, that's a pretty straightforward project.
That's a $500,000 project though, so
Yeah, 475,000.
yeah, we feel like that will help at the sewer plant of not treating as much rainwater is what we're trying to do there.
Mhm. And this is for what majority of original Estacada that flows on that pipe? Like what homes are we talking about? I mean, how many?
It's most of Uptown, really. It goes out through the mill and it dumps out below, kind of behind Les Schwab. You know where Standish is? Kind of that area. There's a main that goes through there, dumps down the hill, goes to our sewer plant. So it catches the majority of the Uptown people.
Everything up, so everything once you go up Broadway and Main Hill.
Yep.
Mhm.
And even all like Reagan Hill and everything.
I don't know that,
I don't think Reagan Hill is. I think that dumps down below from Lakeshore side.
What about like Cemetery?
mhm.
Cemetery, yeah. Yep.
A lot.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
If we don't have any questions for John, then we'll move on with Melanie.
Okay, and I'm going to share my screen here if it works. I'm going to share my desktop. Okay, and I am, well, share the content. I want to share. Okay. Now I just have to find where I put this thing. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Just my email, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I had opened this thing up so that it would be ready to go. There we go. Hopefully it will come. All right. So this is a little bit faulty because I had high hopes, and Wade Creek Park Phase 3 is actually not beginning in May. It's going to be, the notice to proceed is going to happen on June 1, but we're getting very close. So this is the part of the park you can see there. It's behind the library. It includes the pond area and then the property just to the north and to the north of the pond and west of the parking lot, the new parking lot. And the project.
Can you make the document the screen? No.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that.
Okay.
How big is it? Wait, it's white now. Maybe this is gonna work. I'll just email it to you.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna stop sharing. Stop sharing. I'm working on a little Chromebook, and it's a little bit.
You're breaking up.
So, okay, the project to be in the middle of March, and we had. Okay, now my internet connection is on. Can you hear me? No.
You're kind of
Can you hear me
frozen on
all?
my screen.
Okay, darn it. Let me see. I'm gonna close. Things.
Now we see you.
Yep.
Okay, now you can see me. Okay, I just closed. That's okay. If it gets bad again, I'll just go in Don's office. Uh-oh. Now everything is closed. Okay. Start later. All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the Wade Creek Park 3 project that we've been working on for a few years actually is ready to get a shovel in the ground. It's been the past year. We actually had the engineering and ready to go right around the beginning of the year. But because a lot of it has to do with the in-water work window, which doesn't begin until July 15th, we held off a little bit on going out to bid for that through April 8th. And we received 3 bids. The lowest bidder was a company called Keystone Contracting. They are out of Ridgefield, Washington. And they, speaking of McMenamins, they did the amphitheater up there that's right next door in Kalama. And they worked on that project. And they've also worked on quite a bit of other creek type projects and things. So I think their experience will serve them well here. They said last time I talked to my contact, he said we typically don't do buildings, which this does include a building, but they're excited to do it, and they're excited about the quality of this project. So the low bidder came in right around where the engineer's estimate was 3.219 million, and then the other 2 contractors, one was 3.47 and one was 3.97. So we were really thankful to get the one that was right there at the engineer's estimate. And the count on April 28th. Right now I have the contract signed from the contractor. Denise will be signing those, and we'll be moving towards a pre-construction meeting on June 1st and giving them a notice to proceed. And like I said, the in-water work window doesn't begin till July 15th. So they'll be doing other work around, they can start in the amphitheater area and whatever. I don't even know what process they'll go through, but they wanted to get going on it. They didn't want to wait for July to roll around. We'll be replacing the culvert that goes under Wade Street. It's really degraded, And so there'll be plus it bottlenecks down right there. So they'll put a new culvert in there that will be the whole width that is needed to have a full street, bike lanes and sidewalks. And it will allow for fish passage. Even though right now there's really not fish that probably go up that creek. Thinking long-term, that could be a possibility in the future. And so it'll be designed to allow for that. And we are still looking for additional sources of funding. We have it all budgeted for, but if we could get some donations, we're looking at sending out letters to the developers that are working in the area to see if they might contribute. I applied for a $30,000 grant through the River Health Program a week or so ago, and anything we haven't quit looking for money yet, but it is we do have it nailed down. Worst case scenario, it's covered, and it'll be starting in June 1st, and then the bulk of it will be done by the end of the fall, but probably there will be things that roll into next year to finish up, depending on how the weather goes, how there's a lot of variables in the project. So, but the in-water work window does end on August 31st. It's a very short time frame. And our consultants are already anticipating that they will request an extension, which I guess is frequently granted. So that'll give us a little more time to be in the water. And I'll email you. I made this flyer to have at the library. So once work starts, and people start wondering, what's it going to look like, what's happening, they can hand that out. And I took it to Whispering Pines also, because I know they'll be impacted. Construction is noisy and dusty, and they like to walk. That's one of their easiest places to get out and go for a walk for the Whispering Pine residents. And when I dropped it off, I was really happy to hear the gal I left it with. The office manager wasn't there, but she's a resident that also works there, and was excited. She said, this is going to be so nice when it's done. It'll be better when it's done. So anyway, if you have any questions, I can try and answer. Denise can chime in also, but it's going to be exciting. I think you guys will enjoy watching it come together too. It'll be an interesting project.
Really ugly right now if you go by the park, because we're letting the water, we're trying to let the water drain out as much as possible for when they start work. So there's a lot of mud showing and just yucky stuff, but it's going to look so beautiful this time next year. So yeah, it's going to be a great project.
I know there's some conflicts with us on that box culvert that's going to be installed. Are you guys sent an invite to us as well for that pre-con meeting on June 1st?
Yes, I will do that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
That would be a good place for you guys to be. I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
All right. There's no other questions. We'll let you move on, but feel free to call me or email me as things are going on if you want to update, or if you have a question about, what the work is that's happening. It will be, it'll be, I think, good for the community if they're paying attention to watch it come together and see more of a riparian and a better stream and habitat come together than what's there right now. So hopefully it will, right? I'm looking at the picture and it's all green, and I know that before it's green, it's just brown. But there's going to be a lot of rock in there too. So, they'll use trees that are on site for their large woody things that go in the stream, and it'll be pretty cool.
Nice. Could you share us, email the group, that PDF that you had of
yes,
work?
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no other questions, then we'll go on with Taylor.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Taylor Campy. I'm the city planner. I know most of you, but nice to meet those of you who I've not yet met. So my understanding of the purpose of my joining today is just to kind of give an overview of the subdivision applications that have been approved within the past couple years, that are in process right now. And I will also talk about a couple of the pre-applications that we've received that haven't resulted in actual applications quite yet, but that we expect will come in. So if I can share my screen, and before I start just talking at you, is there anything else that you want to make sure I touch on in that conversation? You're muted, Denise.
I think once you start in, there might be questions, but I think that's basically what they want to see.
Okay, great. And hang on just a second. I'm going to take my dog's food away from her because she's crunching in the background.
Gotta love Zoom, right?
You know, my dog, she really doesn't like her dry food very much, and I'm not nice enough to spoil her with wet food. So she doesn't eat her food right away in the morning, and then the cat comes in, and then she's worried the cat's going to eat the food, which he does. It's a whole deal. Anyway.
As long as the mailman doesn't come during the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That
so
happens too.
you must not be in Italy again.
I am not in Italy, unfortunately. Don't rub it in. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen. Should be this screen. All right, so you should see the map, and then I also opened up the email that I sent to Matt accompanying this that just kind of describes a little bit more about the applications. Okay, so let's go in order, maybe. I wish I had added up these totals. It comes out to about, I think, a little over 1,500 new detached home lots and multifamily units together across all of these. It might be a little more than that because I did include the Curran Creek and Cascadia Ridge in this list, so it might be more. So starting with Curran Creek Estates Phase 1, which was approved back in 2018, that's down here in the bottom right corner. So both Curran Creek Estates Phases 1 and 2 have been approved. Curran Creek Phase 1, I think their plat has been recorded. And if you look at some aerial images, or if you've been out there, you can see they're already working on it. Curran Creek Estates 2 was just recently approved in March of this year. So that's a total of 86 lots. Curran Creek Phase 2 was required by the council to actually connect this road, I can't remember, I think it's called Clayton Drive, out to Lawrence Road, which was a whole, there are some folks not happy about that, and some valid safety concerns about what that's going to mean for traffic on Lawrence Road, which is not a very wide pavement. Up here, this kind of triangular area just south of Faraday Hills, that's Cascadia Ridge Phase 6. That is finally moving forward. I expect that plat to come in within the next few months. That's 65 lots. Faraday Hills, which you're probably familiar with, was recently approved last year in February. 404 single-family lots, really small lots were approved in that subdivision, and there's a really large kind of like trails, open space, forested type area in that subdivision as well. Valley View Estates, kind of in the middle of the screen here. 64 lots were approved for Valley View Estates. I know from talking with the applicant that actually the topography on this upper corner is too steep for them to actually develop all 64 of those lots. So it sounds like they're going to come back to the city with a modification request. So it sounds like it'll be maybe closer to, I don't know, 55 or something like that, assuming that they can get that modification, which I think the city will find makes a lot of sense given the topography situation. Eagle Ridge phases 1 and 2 are over here in the North City residential, that's the orange stripe zone. And then it has a chunk of the central mixed use zone against Eagle Creek Road. And also in this upper kind of corner of this lot has low density residential. Curran Creek runs through the middle. Eagle Ridge Phase 2 just went to council on Monday and was approved. So that, between those, that's a total of, let's see, 100 and, oh, that shouldn't say 16. That should be, there's one big multifamily lot that is intended for, they think, about 69 apartments. If I remember correctly, yeah, it's over here. So 111 plus 128, that's 239, I can do math. 239 single family lots plus about 69 apartments with ground floor commercial. That's kind of what's allowed and intended with the central mixed use zone. So those were both very recently approved. And then let's see, up here we have the Dugan Estates. That application includes, let's look over here, 102 lots for phases 1 and 2. Phases 1 and 2 are going to be this property that's right next to Faraday Hills. And then phases 3 through 7 is going to be this property to the west of that. So yeah, phases 1 and 2 have been submitted and are now, it looks like they have submitted all of the requirements. Their original submittal was not complete. Phases 3 through 7 has been deemed incomplete, and our planner at the county, Ben Blessing, he's processing that application actually, and so he's coordinating with them. So yeah, that is not yet scheduled for hearings, but I expect that their first hearing will probably be the July Planning Commission hearing for phases 1 and 2. So we'll see that coming through soon. We are hoping that a park or some park space will be included in that subdivision. The city will be pushing for that, so we'll see what happens there. And then the last two that I included on here are pre-apps that we have already had for this top one. They would be proposing 118 single family lots and then I think it's just one large multifamily lot that is within the 200 feet from Eagle Creek Road. Actually, single family homes are no longer permitted. New single family homes are not permitted within 200 feet of Eagle Creek Road in that zone. And so multifamily or something similar is what would be allowed outright. So they're proposing 96 units across a few, like multiple apartment buildings. It wouldn't just be one giant apartment building. That application has not yet actually come in, but we see, it seems like they have every intention to submit that. And then the other pre-app that I think actually we're having tomorrow is for Eagle Ridge phases 3 and 4. I think phase 3 would be this R1 low density residential parcel, and then phase 4 was the North City residential area, if I remember correctly. And that was about 220 single family lots and just a couple of multifamily lots that would, of course, have a bunch of units in them. They didn't identify how many units they expected would go into that. So that's sort of a high level kind of summary, gathering all of the subdivisions that have come through and either been approved or that we expect will be submitted or might be approved within the year or so, and that are either not yet, they haven't yet started development, or that are in the process of development. And I guess I'll just note that I didn't include Campanella, which is still not yet fully built out, but is closer to being finished than any of these.
I added up all those, and there are 1,443 single family lots with those all combined, 165 multifamily units.
Okay.
With correcting the 60. Also, Taylor, can you kind of show where the road is going to go from River Mill through, because it is real important. This the city put in that sewer line, well, along with the developer, that went from River Mill Road across what you can see as Eagle Ridge #1 and Eagle Ridge #2. And then also Eagle Ridge #3, which would be that kind of weird shaped right there. And then Dugan #1, and it will connect to Faraday Hills then. And so those are, in order to get that road done, when those subdivisions get approved, that'll be a key road, because that allows all of those people to be able to access. It gives them a second access instead of just all on Deuce Road, especially from Faraday Hill.
Right. Yeah, so let me see. This kind of shows what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's zoom in a little bit. And I'm happy to forward this email to the committee, or Melanie or Denise.
Can you put your mouse on that road to kind of show them what?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's River Mill.
Yep.
And then coming through Eagle Creek or Eagle Ridge. Eagle Ridge phase 1 is what we're looking at. And then this is where phase 2 starts.
Yep.
And then this is the going through the property that I think will be phase 3, if not 4. And then the property that's all the way on the right here is Dugan Estates phase 1 and 2. Yeah. And then somewhere over here is where Faraday Hills is. And that will be, that's where the sewer line went through and was extended from River Mill. And it is now called, it changes from River Mill to Southeast Kern Creek Road when it crosses Eagle Creek.
Actually, I think it'll be northeast.
Or south or north. Yeah, it'll be
north, whatever.
Northwest.
For a while.
Yeah, you're right, because we changed the, northwest.
Kern Creek Road, though.
Yeah, it's Kern Creek Road.
Yep. Anyway, so that's the plan for that major road that will help connections out to the Eagle Creek Highway, other than on Deuce. So
we're looking at a huge amount of added traffic on the Eagle Creek Road and River Mill in the near future.
Yes.
And so plans are in the works with the county. The county is that vehicle registration fee that everyone hates, because it added, I think, $60 a rig to everyone's when you go get your car licensed. and the county and it has that. Well, they're going to spend a lot of that money on a project at Deuce and the Eagle Creek Highway. They're doing the engineering in this budget year, and then the next budget year, they'll be doing the construction, and that's going to put turn lanes and widen that Deuce and Eagle Creek Road intersection there. So that will be great. That's going to be perfect timing for this traffic that's going to be going out onto Eagle Creek Road.
And what is the plan then for the River Mill Eagle Creek Road intersection?
Yeah, we're discussing that with the county now because we really need to can you point over there, Taylor? The property on the north side, once we have development, then we will extend that right of way and be able to fix that corner there. Right now, I think it's the Estacada Community Center, Friends of the Community Center that own that property. So we might have to work with them for that previous to any development. But yeah, we're working with the county on getting some engineering done on that intersection.
Can we get a copy of this map right here?
Yeah.
I think Eagle Creek Road, the county's going to tell you that the capacity is not going to, it will affect Eagle Creek Road, but it has the capacity for all this growth because as you all know, Eagle Creek Road used to be the main road before the highway went in. So it was built at standards to have a lot of traffic on it, but we're still working with them with that intersection.
So
Yeah,
We're also going to work with them for reducing the speed to 35 when you're coming in.
So you were saying that it's just the intersection of Deuce and Eagle Creek that's going to be improved, not the road being widened from Deuce into town?
There is an 80-foot right of way there, but there's no proposal right now for that road to be widened other than for turn lanes.
Thank you.
And yeah, I was just going to add to what Denise said about that intersection with River Mill. Eagle Ridge Phase 1 will be required by the county, who still has jurisdiction over the roadway there, to put in north and southbound turn lanes. They didn't want them to put in an all-way stop. They wanted them to just have stop signs on River Mill for whatever reason that was based upon their calculations and standards. Yeah, so there will be those improvements also at that intersection.
So Scott was saying, I thought the number was 7,500. Is that new homes before we get into a crunch, or is that total? As far as utilities?
That was
Are you-
Population and not homes. If you look at Kurt's thing, he's doing population, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so population. So, and we have, I think the sign said about 4,000. And with this, I think you had said, and I wasn't good at math, but about 1,900 new residences. Is that what we kind of came up with, Denise?
It was the 1443 single and 165 multifamily.
So closer to
1,600.
Okay,
Yeah.
then times 3
4,800. So it puts us up to about 8,800.
residents.
The
And all
calculation,
get built out, yeah. Although multifamily might be a little less than 3. So.
yeah, I was going to say the calculation for multifamily that we have in our code, at least for that parks requirement, is 2.
Yeah.
You assume two people.
So it's going to be a little right around 1,600 population, though, or 4,800 population, maybe a little less.
So this is putting us closer to that 7,500. So when are we kind of, I think a couple of years ago, it looked you pushed it out 50 years to 6,700 people total in 50 years. So we're going to approach that a whole lot sooner than the county had guesstimated 5 years ago. So when are we kind of looking, with what Taylor just talked about, when are we kind of looking at getting close to that 7,500 people? When all this is built out?
I think Kurt had it reaching there about, in about 3 years. Is that right, Scott? Do you have that memo right in front of you?
Yeah, it says around 2024, 2025.
Maybe the 7,500. That's if it continues at 25 a month,
Right.
you know, yeah.
And Gary, this email was sent to us, and I don't, maybe it wasn't sent to you. What is this, MRG?
Melanie, you sent that out in the packet, right?
Yeah, I
last
sent it.
Thursday.
Yeah. Did I send? I'm pretty sure I got Gary, both the Garys on there, but I will double check
Oh,
that.
Mr. GM, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you got it out last Thursday.
Great. That would have
Yeah.
come along. Yeah, I think that's what I have here.
So the only thing that's going to limit the number of houses that we allow to be built will be our infrastructure.
Right, but with the improvements we're making, we do not see that as a problem.
Well, it'd be nice if there was a limit to some of this development.
Well, so, you know, when you have an annexation, that's when all the agencies are notified and said, give us your letter of capacity. And so when you consider an annexation, you consider it at the maximum development. And all of these areas have been annexed already, which basically gave them approval to do the maximum on that property. So the subdivisions come along, and all of that was discussed at the annexation level, the capacity issues. And so once the subdivisions come along, it's just kind of the formality of them doing with their property what they annexed to do. So isn't that correct, Taylor, that the annexation is where capacity is discussed?
Yes, yeah. Once it's annexed, it's really just a matter of, do they meet the development code criteria? You know, does their layout and design meet all the criteria, and they're going to do all the required improvements? But the capacity question comes up at the annexation phase. So once
So
they're
the limit
annexed,
then-
they're eligible to subdivide.
The limit then to development would be a limit to the annexation.
Yeah, and that
Yes.
being said, as you can see, a lot of area has been annexed, and we don't expect a lot of annexations in the future, because the only areas really are to the east of the city, and we really have not had any contact from those people. Right, Taylor, you haven't really been, and those would be the low density residential areas.
Well, that 161 acres we just approved a couple of months ago, that's not even in the pipeline yet, correct?
Oh, there are a lot of the properties included in that are some of these submittals that we're looking at. So Eagle Ridge phase. Sorry.
That's part of what you just told us about today.
Yeah, and I can just real quick kind of point at them. So these two big Dugan Estates properties were included in the 161 acres. These couple of properties up here were included in that. This property that doesn't have a development application was included in that. These two down here were included. The community center properties were included. I think these two were also included in that. There were 11 total properties, so I think that adds up. So yeah, a lot of the properties that we are looking at in these pre-apps and the Dugan Estates and the Eagle Ridge subdivisions were part of that large 160 some acres.
So logistically, we're looking at what, 4 or 5 years for all this to be built out?
Yeah, the requirement is that they plat within 4 years of the approval, or they apply for an extension. They can get a maximum of 2-year extension, and if they don't plat within that time period, then it expires.
Thank you.
So is Kern Creek Drive gonna meet up with Kern Creek Road?
No, you mean Kern Creek Road up off of
River Milk?
Copeland Road? Yeah, our boundary, our urban growth boundary ends at Lawrence Road.
No. Kern Creek Drive, which is on Cascadia Ridge up on Cemetery.
So this coming up
Yep.
right here.
Is that gonna intercept and meet up with Kern Creek Road? That's gonna be.
Yeah.
River
Yeah, ultimately, and we could look at the Faraday Hills. So that would happen in Faraday Hills because it's going to come through Cascadia Ridge 6
Mhm.
and connect into Faraday, and then Faraday is going to connect to Kern Creek Road.
So is it gonna be Kern Creek Road or Kern Creek Drive, Taylor?
Kern Creek Road is what is the extension of River Mill. That's what it's
But
currently called.
Are you saying it's gonna hook to Kern Creek Drive?
I don't know if, yeah, I think they do have a
So
direct
shouldn't they both be the
connection.
same name?
And maybe they should both be the same name. In Faraday, it looks like it is called Kern Creek Drive, and that's where it would connect. So
So we need to change one of those because
yeah,
I think we changed the road because there have been no houses built yet. On
yeah.
Kern
So
Creek Drive, there's a lot of houses, so.
yeah, so we can connect with PBS on that.
Good job, Scott.
Hey.
Yeah, thanks.
And then on the Eagle Ridge, you know, 'cause I'm gonna imagine that Kern Creek Road, not Drive, but Kern Creek Road is gonna be packed with cars.
Yeah.
Especially during morning and afternoon rush hour from all these homes and subdivisions.
It's
Just
gonna be built as a collector, right, Taylor?
Yeah.
So does that mean it's gonna be bigger than what's on Hillway at
Oh,
Campus?
yeah. Yep.
Okay, good, because that thing is really small.
Yep.
And that road is, yeah. Okay, great.
This will be a collector and there will be no, one of the rules is no houses can access from that road.
Gotcha. Oh, okay, that's great.
And what is the subdivision Lawrence Road is going to have access to and from?
Yeah, that's the Kern Creek Estates Phase 2, which when this came to the Planning Commission, you know, the developer was not proposing access from Lawrence Road.
Right.
The city did not, you know, the city engineer and staff and the fire department did not think that it was warranted. You know, they were proposing, and the recommendation was to have like an emergency access from here. Actually, I think the gate was here regardless from, but you know, from about here out to Lawrence. And then, yeah, I guess there's been a lot of concern among the council about there being a public, open, regular access out to Lawrence, and, you know, uncertainty about when these adjacent lots will develop. And so they just wanted to make sure that that connection did get built if they were approving 43 more homes.
So where you had your pointer, that's where the gate is now, correct?
The gate is, there's currently a fire gate right here.
Okay.
And this is Kern Creek Estates Phase 1
And
down
that
here.
one will stay, right, Taylor?
Yes, that
Yeah.
one will stay, but once this gets built, all of these residents and, you know, all of the Cascadia Ridge residents will be able to come out through Moore Avenue, Robert Road, down to here, and then out Lawrence.
So that's kind of a plus or minus, depending on how
Yeah.
your outlook is, because at that point in time, Lawrence Road will be an active way to down to Eagle Creek or back out to, what is it, Cemetery Hill that goes up. I know some people there that are kind of plus about, you know, maybe they can develop their properties. So is that in the future? Once
I don't
this
know if I understood.
developed, will Lawrence Road have access both ways? Because doesn't Lawrence Road dead end at some point in time?
Oh,
Yes.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, up here, it
Right.
turns and then dead ends.
So anybody that lives or has property on Lawrence Road right now, their only exit and egress or egress and exit is off of, is it Cemetery? Is that what goes-
Oakland.
Yeah, it
comes
goes
off
down to
Oakland.
Copeland.
Copeland, right. So this'll give two access points.
Yes,
And are
yeah.
we seeing that in the next few years, or
Are we seeing this
that Lawrence Road gets opened up?
through Curran Creek Estates Phase 2? Yeah, I would imagine it would occur in the next couple of years. They just platted Phase 1, and they're, you know, starting to build. And so I haven't gotten any indication that they're running into any issues with Phase 2. So I would expect that to happen in the next couple of years.
Thank you.
Is Lawrence Road gonna be able to handle increased traffic on it?
Yeah, that was the concern of a lot of people, including the developers. That's why they were not proposing access to Lawrence Road, because it is a very narrow and substandard road. This curve that people will have to go around, there are a lot of site issues going around that curve, especially during the summer when all of the trees are full with leaves. It's really hard to see around the curve if there's another car coming, and if it's a truck or a bus, you know, they're taking up maybe more than their lane. And so it sounds like there are a lot of safety concerns about it. It's a county road, so the city had to defer to the county, and when we contacted the county about the council's decision to require that connection, the county said, yep, they can do that. There would be no off-site improvements required. So yeah, I share the concerns about the safety issues there.
So what does that mean? That the county will come in and improve that road?
No.
No.
That
Well,
road,
when they decided that they would put Curran Creek through to Curran Road, then it kind of became unnecessary to have that emergency access there at Lawrence.
right, it will no longer be an emergency. There won't be, there will be a fire, there will be a gate just preventing, I don't have the plans up anymore. Yeah, there will be like a street, the street kind of stubs here, but that emergency gate won't be necessary anymore because folks will be able to come in and out through the new streets in Phase 2.
So why did they decide that street onto Lawrence was necessary since they've decided to put Curran Creek Drive through?
That the reasoning was it was going to happen faster than Curran Creek Drive.
Oh,
So if you go back to.
Oh, I see what you're asking, sorry.
Yeah, so if this little area north of Curran Creek Drive that you see that connects to Faraday, we didn't know when that was going to happen. In fact, we still don't know exactly when all that's going to connect. So
Oh.
they thought it would be sooner. So as you can see here on the Faraday Hills, that 404 lots.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. See how they've platted the top part? But that doesn't include that road yet. So, you know, who knows how long it's going to be before they start platting their phase 2, which would include that road. So
Yeah.
council was just doing that because they thought it was going to happen sooner than this Curran Creek Drive. Once Curran Creek Road does get, I can't see anybody from Cascadia going out to Lawrence to go out.
No.
You know, they're either going to go to Cemetery or up to through Eagle Creek Drive. So
Well, they'll use Cemetery to come into town.
yeah. And they might use Deuce too. So
Yeah.
getting past our hour. I don't know if everyone has to get back, but it's good information.
Jeff had to jump off already, but he said he enjoyed the meeting, and I was sorry he couldn't give us a PGE update, but we had a lot to talk about this time, really.
And I just wanted to add before we go that the city is also doing, we also are getting some of that vehicle registration fee money. And so we've been trying to do a street. We don't want our older streets to get to the point where we have to actually reconstruct them. If you catch them enough and you can grind and pave and save them, it gives them more years, and you can do that for cheaper. So this year we've chosen Ginseng Road, which Ginseng Road has been there since the late 1970s. It's still in pretty good shape. So we're using $225,000 to grind that down 2 inches and paving that back curb to curb. So that should give that road another life of 40 more years. And so we're trying to hit roads that we can still save without reconstructing. So that's that. Scott, do you guys have anything you need in Ginseng that you might be interested in when we're doing that project? Or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We put fiber up there, I don't know, 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
And all their stuff should be pretty deep. So
There's just that one lot up there that is still for sale, the old Dunlop place that could be developed someday, but it's been here, you know, how long has it been on the market? So
yeah,
probably not.
a while.
I just wanted to let everyone know about that project too before we go.
Great.
Do you all want me to forward that PDF, the map, and those links to you all? Or is there a committee email, or can I send this to?
You could send it to me and I could send it out to everybody.
Okay,
Do that.
that works. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you all.
I
Yeah.
have one thing I'd like to throw in today's paper. There was an article about a much beloved teacher at middle school died of the virus this last week. And it's well known in the community with the kids and whatnot. And I was wondering if it's possible the city could talk about finding out when the funeral and whatnot, and on the day of the funeral, we go to
Flags at half staff.
flags at half staff or something else and respecting her.
I know that I got an email from the school district and they were gonna, depending on the wishes of the family, they said that they would try to send out whatever email, whatever information that they could include in an email that the family wanted to include the community with. And I don't know if we could do flags at half staff or if there's specific rules about that, but we should be able to do something to acknowledge her. So we'll try to come up with something that would pay respect.
Okay.
Good idea, Ralph.
What about having a street named after her?
We have quite a few to choose from right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and can we have the half staff for many days too? It doesn't have to be just for one. Or
Yeah, we'll have to check into those rules. We haven't never done that for a local one, so Melanie and I will look into that.
Okay. Yep. Reminds me of that yellow ribbon around the oak tree. There is something that could happen community wide that that would be nice.
Yeah, if the family doesn't want to have a public service, we could have a public memorial service for her, just for the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if I hear more information, I'll try to keep you informed on that too. And Denise and I'll look into what we could do. So it's definitely a sad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, great loss. So.
okay, well, we are over by 22 minutes, so if nothing else, then I guess we can adjourn the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
everyone. Yep. Bye-bye. Thank you, City, for the information.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.